my name is Lindy Sherries and I used to be a Sangoma. In this channel, I talk about everything, guys. Abokorobela, the secrets that we were taught not to share with you guys, how we used to trick you guys, the spirits, how everything works when you go to a Sangoma for consultation, yamatambo. So whether you believe in God or don't believe in God, please check out this channel so we can talk about it. If you believe in God, let's share the gospel. If you don't believe in God, you can check out the channel too. I want to hear your opinion, and I want people to actually share their opinion, not insulting me without saying why. Thank you, and I'll see you on my channel.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing very well. I'm so sorry. My light is not really okay at this time of the day, but thank you so much for joining me. My name is Solomon Izanga Shams, and I hope you are doing extremely well. A few people that came in quite early and commented, so thank you to you, Clement Ibe from Palm Spring, and also Evelyn, my sister. Great to have you here, Bongani. Awesome to have you here with all the other Bereans who are joining us. Now, I would want to encourage some of you to please subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Please make sure you follow through and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Please make sure you do that as soon as possible. There are great videos there that you can check out, and I'm sure it's going to be a blessing to you. And also make sure you visit all our social media platforms and also our website, that is unclesolomon.com. Please make sure that you do that. Now, I'm about to talk about an investigation that is being called for by members of Bethesda Christian Centre, Pretoria, South Africa. The founder of the church is called Clement Ibe, and his wife. He's originally from Nigeria. He was resident in South Africa for a very, very long time, maybe 20 years. He's a teacher of the word, been to the church maybe twice or so. Don't know them that much. That was about 15 years ago when I was running a magazine, Christian magazine called Parable Magazine. I was invited. And I have been receiving a lot of complaints from last year around the activities, the doubts, the allegations against Clement Ibe and Bethesda Christian Centre. Now, I said those are allegations. But when these allegations are coming from members of the church who are currently members of the church and who were members of the church, then it becomes a very, very serious allegation. This is Pastor Clement Ibe, as you can see him. A lot of people joined the church when they were much young. You know, it was a very vibrant church. Young people, young adults, obviously, and they sort of like built some sort of a church there. And they used to meet somewhere in town. I've forgotten the name of the street. It's Pretoria Street or so. I visited it a couple of times, like I said. And they've been raising money to build a church, a big church. And this is what they've been building right here. Monies have been coming in for the last maybe 10, 15 years towards this. Now, what happened, from what I heard from people, was they were not sure if the church belonged to the people or it belonged to the pastor. Because, I mean, some pastors, if you go find out that where and how the church is registered, either as a trust or as an NPO, is registered under their name, it's more like they run it basically. But are they running it as an NPO? What happens to the finances? And that's the allegations that are put out by concerned members. They call themselves the Bethesda Concern Group. And let me break it down here. And I might actually have to do another different broadcast around it. The pastor left South Africa, I think about 2 years ago. He said he's on sabbatical. He's been gone and he has never been to South Africa since then. He lives in the US, in the state of Dallas, Texas. In the Texas of Texas in Dallas. And there's quite a lot. I have photos of the house where he lives. I have copies of court judgment dissolving their marriage, him and his wife. And the allegations that I had around it was the marriage was said to have been dissolved because he wanted to be able to access and get married in the US just for citizenship or something like that. I have a copy of it, and I'm going to do a broadcast and put the copy out here so people would, everybody would see it. That is true or not. So Bethesda Concern Group, I've written a letter. They wrote a letter last December to the NPO, that is Non-Profit Organization Directorate. Let me actually blow it out for you so you can see it. This is it. So they wrote a letter to if you see an NPO there, it means Non-Profit Organization Directorate, Social Development Department. That is the ministry where all NPOs have some sort of affiliation in Pretoria Street in Pretoria. You can see the date, 1st of December 2021. Attention, the director, the NPOs. Dear Sir, Madam, complained about the operations of a non-profit organization, Bethesda Christian Centre, and its various entities. We are members of Bethesda Christian Centre. Registration number is there, and affected parties in the membership of the church. We have formed ourselves into a group called Bethesda Concern Group. We write this letter to your office as responsible for MPO compliance and to know the complaint about the operations of our church as an organization or legal entity registered as a non-profit organization. And the number is there. So the letter is about 10 pages. I have it right here with me. And I'm not going to be able to put it here, but I'm going to read some of the pointers there because there are very, very serious allegations that are put down here. There are very, very serious concerns that are put out here against the church, the existence of the church, and also against Clement Ibe. Very, very serious. So let me just put out some of this, the stuff. So they are concerned because the church has just been run, like a family business, sort of, from what they put here. A lack of proper governance, and now they're tired. And then there's also the lifestyle of the pastor and his wife. They felt they were living a very extravagant life and a very lavish life. How did they get the money from? Where did they get the money from? As a result, they are concerned. That's why they wrote this. So they said, we have decided to approach your office because of the events that have happened recently and particularly during the lockdown period. For example, two of the pastor's associates, Pastor Joshua Mwale and Pastor Sam Masejo, respectively resigned in February 2020 and September 2021 and left without any retirement or pension benefits payout, to our dismay, having served for over 20 years. The other pastor, Tanda Nkosi withdrew his service and participation in church activities months prior to the duo's resignation, also due to alleged conduct by the senior pastor, that is Pastor Clement Ibe, who is also the de facto chairperson of the organization and all its associate entities. How can that be? You see, there's a problem there. They left the church due to the autocratic and centralized approach used by the senior pastor and mostly his failure to adhere to promote good governance, transparency, and accountability. Since the outbreak of this crisis, the board has not intervened to find a solution to the many challenges the church is faced with. This might be a result of the fact that the board was nominated by Pastor Clement Ibe himself. Out of 7 members constituting the board, 4 are related to Pastor Ibe, and most members are of foreign origin. So you hear they're saying they have 7 members of the board, 4. So 4 is the majority of 7. So whenever they vote, the 4 is always going to win. And these 4 are related, according to them, to the pastor. To the pastor. Right? So they said amongst the members of the board is the Nigerian dubious character by the name of Dr. Nwafo, who has recently joined the board, and we're aware of his residence status with Home Affairs after marrying a South African to gain resident status, but later divorced her within a year and brought his wife and kids. The wife also has been appointed to be a minister in church and a fierce proponent of the senior pastor amidst the conduct. So, so there's a lot of drama here, right? You brought in a new member of the board, said to be a pastor, joined the board, Nigerian, got married to a local lady. After about a year, divorced her, and then he brought his family and kids from Nigeria. What is that? Is that true? If that is true, then there is a problem there. So they said during this crisis, we respectfully approached the pastor, Clement Ibe, and his board to consider the following: address governance issues by the associate pastors and general members of the church, proceed with the title deed transfer of the new church property worth multi-million rands from Wall Outreach Limited, a company owned by senior pastor, to the ownership and control of his rightful owner, Bethesda Christian Centre. So this building that I showed you, which they have given so much money, millions and millions over the years, is actually not under the church. The ownership of the building, according to them here, is not under the church. Is under a company owned by Clement Ibe, the pastor, called World Outreach Limited, PTY. So it's a limited. So how do you put a church building that you put in tens of millions of rands as an MPO, but the building is under a limited, a company, a profit-making company, and the owner of that company, they say here, is the senior pastor, Clement Ibe. Yeah, I understood. They said he came and he said no, he had to borrow money and use his own name or use his own company and put in surety and all that. But still, for me, the moment you take what is supposed to be a church property, no matter how much you put in it, and put it under a limited, then there is a problem there. So they also said they want a disclosure for financial reports of the church for the past 20 years. They're calling for an AGM so they can nominate new board members and dismantle the current illegal board members, to transfer the control of the bank accounts of all church entities into the legally constituted church leadership structure. I wonder who is in control of the bank accounts now, right? They said, in the past 2 months, we have made efforts to engage Pastor Ibe and his board, but on their side, it is business as usual, as they are disregarding our calls for implementing the values and principles of good governance within the church. Refusal to transfer the new church property under its rightful owners, the BCC. So they said, our view is premised on mandatory requirements as follows. Unless the laws in terms of which a non-profit is established or incorporated make provisions for the matters, the constitution of a non-profit organization that intends to register must state that the organization's income and property are not distributed to its members or office bearers except as reasonable compensation for services rendered. Again, like I said, the church is registered as an MPO, but the church building, this place that so much money went down, is registered under a business company owned by the senior pastor. So they said in the year 2003, Bethesda Christian Centre started a process of acquiring vacant land to build a place of worship, church building. In 2005, the process was completed after the church bought the land at the cost of 5,800,000 rand. However, the deeds of record at our disposal shows that the actual transaction was 1,810 acquired by BCC from Swane University of Technology, but later transferred to Audit Limited, owned by the chip. There's a lot of problem here. So what they said here, what they were told was that the plot of land that they bought to build this church was what they gave, and the amount they used was 5.8 million. But then they later now discovered that actually, years later, they discovered they didn't tell them the exact amount. They inflated it. They said the exact amount was 1.8 million. And it was acquired by the church, right? But then the ownership of the land was now transferred to World Outreach Limited, which the pastor is the owner of that business, right? The church had about 2.5 million in its bank account, and it sought a loan of 3.3 million. This loan was repaid by BCC members within 6 months. So they said to buy the piece of land is 5.8. So they had about 2 million. So they loaned money, right? And then they repaid that money within 6 months. So 5.8. But then they discovered it was actually not 5.8 million. Right? A resolution was signed over 18 years ago by the board unreasonably authorizing the pastor to purchase the property through his company, Wall Outreach, which confirmed the property belonged to BCC and will be transferred at a later stage. However, he has become evasive to this day of the complaint. There was no need to do so since the very asset that the chairperson used was purchased by the church as a mission and paid for by it, but he deliberately concocted a scheme to use the same church asset as his own, the new asset claiming to be his surety. So he used that. They said he used that surety. Lifestyle audit on him, Chairman Clement Ibe and his wife, Fortune. Yeah, Fortune Ibe is his wife. Very glamorous and very shiny. Yeah, she looks very expensive if you see the wife, who didn't have any formal income except the church, can demonstrate how he amassed those assets. Chairman had monopoly on these accounts to build his own family property portfolio using resources and use the same to own church assets. In 2009, the church started the building project and a special bank account was opened for that purpose. The whole project was estimated at 60 million rand. Do you hear me? 60 million rand. And now is valued at 90 million. These demonstrate that BCC, that's the church, manages a huge amount of money and the organization needs to operate in line with the South African law. Today, there is no account of how much money was received for the building and it was utilized and for what purpose. It will be interesting to receive financial reports regarding the acquisition of the land in 2005 and the building process that started in 2010. There are possibilities that there is no distinction between BCC bank accounts and those of World Outreach. So the pastor, they're saying maybe the pastor mixes his own private business with church business. So whatever, money is just moving like that, which is not supposed to be, because both are supposed to be independent. So there's quite a lot of information here that I'm actually skipping some. So they're saying the World Outreach allegedly claimed VAT for this transaction. There are allegations that the money did not benefit the church, but personally benefited the pastor. For your information, BCC created the Bethesda Building Fund, which was supported by Bethesda Dream Center, a charitable arm of the church, and Bethesda Business Foundation Trust to raise funds for the new building. All these entities obtained MPO status with the department. We are convinced that it is from these various accounts that funds were funneled out to other undisclosed causes and misused for personal benefits by Pastor Ibe's family and relatives. As a result, the completion of our new building has stalled and affected the project management company into serious troubles with different contractors because of unpaid bills. We have been aware that contractors have not been paid, although the church has been receiving huge contributions towards the finalization of the multi-purpose facility. Right? So there's quite a lot here. Let me just go to the end where what they are actually demanding. So this is what they are demanding, right? They're saying, considering the above, we respectfully request for investigations to be conducted to establish these allegations of misappropriation and mismanagement of funds, and not limited to find out how the cash collections are administered and banked. The money is collected but not counted in front of the independent parties, but by pastor's family or relatives. So family business, sort of. Audit all the church's entities registered with your office, their revenues and expenditures based on bank accounts, income from offerings, donations of all sorts, and tithes. Analyze the church and its entities' payrolls. It is our belief that Pastor Ibe's family and relatives have unduly benefited from the church's hard-earned money, whereas other employees and associate pastors were paid ridiculously low salary and wondering the salary bill and wages who it was for. Right? That's what? That's 11.3. Okay, so let me sort of like read the rest here. So 11.4 says, determine the level of compliance by BCC. Examine the illicit flow of capital from church coffers to sponsor activities other than those benefiting the church directly. Verify allegations that Pastor Ibe was arrested for money laundering in the USA in 2012 rather, and his subsequent banning from that country for 5 years. It has also been revealed that since 2011, Pastor Ibe registered an entity called Bethesda Christian Centre International in the US, but he deregistered it in 2013. We believe monies were laundered to fund his, whereas ours operates principally in South Africa and engages as a community church and not an international operation. Authenticate any offshore activities led by Pastor Ibe's family and assets that might have been acquired abroad using funds raised by BCC members in South Africa. We understand that it is where the pastor was holed himself in sabbatical in the US, Texas, Houston, at the property allegedly acquired using the BCC funds, and have been frequenting displays of expense of the church without declaring this personal expenditure. Check the use of BCC's label as an MPO to conduct private businesses under which benefited specific individuals. Any unjustified loans from church funds to any entity linked to the senior pastor and his connections, especially the 8 million rand to World Outreach Pty Limited and the ownership of 1567 Silver Lakes and Missions House rent paid entry into this report. So there's just quite a lot Yeah, there's quite a lot around it. And I'm aware, and I've seen letters that he actually got his lawyers in South Africa to send a letter to the church. I have a copy of it. And I've spoken to a family member of this Pastor Clement Ibe. The family member is not happy at all. And when I say family member, I mean somebody who's very close. And the person told me so many things. I have a picture of the house that he lives in the US. The family member is just so sad how this church, where young people, families gave and labored for a very long time, now they've discovered that the church property doesn't really actually belong to the church. It belongs to a PTY, a limited set up by the pastor. And he is left and he's in the US. He's been in the US for about 2 years now. From what I heard, he cannot leave the US because he's trying to get a green card or something like that. That's why he's sort of like stuck in the US. That's what I heard. So if this pastor actually did this, if these allegations are true, this is very, very serious. Extremely serious. Again, putting the name of Nigeria into the mud as a Nigerian. I'm going to do a broadcast maybe tomorrow to show you court judgments dissolving his marriage with his wife. But from what I heard, all of that was not done because they were actually divorcing. But it was just so they can get documentation, just so when he's in the US, he could get married for papers, just for residency. That's what I heard. Again, allegations. But I have a copy of the documents. The names are there. I'm going to show you. I know a lot of young people that went through that church, a lot of young adults, now they are married and with kids and all that really served there. And they believed in the man so much. They believed in his teachings. What went wrong? If this is true, how can you deceive a people like this? Breaking the laws of the land. That's why they took this case to the Department of Social Development, because they deal with NPOs and the statuses of every church in the country. You know, you need to be able to be registered as an NPO. You are registered as an NPO. You deceived them. They gave in money and money and money. That's what they're saying here. They felt they were deceived. They gave in money and money and money. But then now they turn around and they found out that the church was the building of the church, that millions and millions that have gone in. First, they discovered that how much was claimed to be the amount that was spent to buy the land to build the church was actually inflated. They were told it was 5.8 million. They discovered it was actually, is it 1.8 million? There's just a lot that is not right. Clement Ibe, I know, if you know him very well, when he preaches like an American. So I'm sure he has always been desiring to move to the US and set up camp there. I hear that part of the visa that he got from my source, I hear, I don't know how true, that he actually paid in, I think, about $500,000 to be able to, you know, there's a visa that you get, a stay that you get that you have to, it's called an investor's visa, investment visa or so. A lot of people are heartbroken. They served for years. And it's a church where people that go there, people stay. You know, people, it's not a church where people come and people go. No. People go there and they stay for a very long time. And he's a good teacher of the word of God. But you see, you can be a good teacher of the word of God, but what is your character like? You can be anointed, you can do deliverance and help people, you can pray and things will happen, you can prophesy and whatever, but what sort of character do you carry? Because the character that you carry inside of you is who you really are. So I will show you his home, the one that he lives in the US. I'll show you the photo where they said that's his home. And I will show you a copy of the divorce judgment granted by the church to dissolve his marriage with his wife Favor. But they're still together. On paper, they're divorced. Again, my sources say it's because they're trying to gain entry into the US. How true is that? Well, I hope that somebody from the church will reach out to me and tell me their own side of the story. It would be great to do that. But until then, these allegations are serious. And if these are true, the name of Jesus, again, is put into disrepute. People would be disappointed, angry, hurt, shocked. But I'll bring you the second part and even the third part. I'll bring you that part where, and I'll bring you audio. I have them. Like I said, the concern group from this church have been talking to me since last year. And hopefully I can get one of them to even speak about it. Thank you very much. God bless you. Please make sure you subscribe and follow us also on our website, that is unclesolomon.com. Shalom.